This is our June the 6th Bowling Green Warren County Planning Commission. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. And Matthew, if you'd call the roll, please, sir.
Commissioner Drain, Commissioner Gay,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Starks, Commissioner Vitale, Commissioner Volkert,
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, you have the minutes of our May the 16th meeting in your packets. Are there any questions? All right, hearing none, would call for a motion, please.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I don't think we have anybody present that
I was. I'll second that.
Okay.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shaw,
Abstain.
Commissioner Volkert,
Abstain.
Commissioner Gay,
Abstain.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, you have your subdivision site development plans in your packets for information. Are there any questions? All right, hearing none. Any old business, Mr. Peterson?
No, sir.
No old business. We now will enter into our hearing. Mr. Moore,
Chair Warren,
if you
I'd ask that,
pull your map, your microphone.
Thank you. I'd ask that you include in tonight's record all relevant statutory and regulatory provisions, the Commission's entire file for each application, and the qualifications of the staff witnesses. Finally, I'd request that you administer the oath to each of those witnesses.
You all swear to tell the truth? Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Our first item tonight is 2024-05 DP. Big Reedy Enterprises LLC has filed an application to amend the general development plan conditions for 84.11 acres located at the southern end of Upton Road and Dyford Road across from Collett Road. The area subject to this application is currently zoned RS1A, single-family residential with the general development plan. Amy?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting on May the 2nd for the property that you highlighted. The current zoning is RS1A. The current land use is vacant, and the future land use is low-density residential. And again, the applicants are proposing to amend the general development plan conditions in order to remove the side or rear-facing garage requirement. If we look down under the development history, the entire development was rezoned to RS1A in 2021 for your reference. And if we look over on page 3, at the bottom of the page under development plan condition number 3, you can see that they have in bold there removing the side facing or rear facing language there. So each resident shall have an attached 2-car garage is what it'll read now. Looking back at the first page under points to consider, the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process, remains consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan, and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. But that's all we have for this staff report, but can answer any questions you might have.
Commissioners, any questions for this request?
So essentially, we're just adding, we're allowing front-facing garages.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Graham. Is the applicant here or their representative, anything they would like to add? Mr. Bridgman?
Tim Bridgman, 1010 College Street.
Yes, sir. You swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just add that the reason for this change is the topography of this development. We're having some issues with potential buyers and the builders who are going to build on the lots, making sure that the houses fit within the boundary and the setbacks if we do a rear or side entry garage. We're not asking for all of the development to be forward facing, but those that don't have to have a retaining wall, we would expect to be forward facing in order to cut down costs on that.
Okay,
That's the only change we're asking for tonight.
all right, thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions from, hang on, Tim, just a minute. Any questions for Mr. Bridgman, representing the applicant?
So I think the only question I would have is, are you suggesting that you just use the developer's discretion on which ones have to have a front-facing garage? And I fully understand you're adding significant cost if you had to put a retaining wall in order to get your turning radius in there. So I'm in agreement with it, but we didn't really say 100% of them or what percentage you would look to change.
We're leaving that completely open to the developer or the builders at their
Okay.
discretion.
All right, very good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or opposition to this request? All right. Hearing none, commissioners would call for a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve the proposed general development plan amendment docket number 2024-5DP based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing. The proposed general development plan amendment is consistent with adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance and objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Further, I also find that there are major changes in economic, physical, and social nature within the area of the property in question, and I request that the findings of fact and recommendation include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second. Commissioner Gay,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Volkert,
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. The motion is approved, and it's the Planning Commission final action. Our next item tonight is 2024-25Z County. Robert and Lunell Brown Estate has filed an application to rezone 11 acres located at 3471 H.E. Johnson Road from Ag to RE Residential Estate with the General Development Plan. Jenny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting for the property on H.E. Johnson Road back in April. The current zoning of the property is ag, current land use is agriculture, and then the future land use designation is low-density residential, and there is their concept plan for your all's reference. And again, they are proposing to rezone roughly 11 acres from ag to RE residential estate in order to create 7 lots. The existing home is proposed to remain. Looking down to the bottom of page 1, the proposal does comply with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. With that, staff do have a couple of points to consider. One related to the proposed front building setback along H.E. Johnson Road. So we'll look over to page 2 to the layout, lot sizes, and setback section. The minimum front yard setback in the RE zone is 25 feet. However, staff has noted that the existing homes located on the west side of H.E. Johnson Road are set back a greater distance than the minimum setback required, at least 120 feet. With that, staff suggested that the applicants include a requirement for an increased front yard setback along H.E. Johnson Road that will be complementary to the existing homes on that same side. However, this was left unaddressed. And then the next point to consider is related to prime farmland, which is also on page 2, looking a bit further down, and it's just that the entire property is classified as prime farmland. With those things, so looking back to page 1, staff's recommendation is for approval, pending public hearing testimony and discussion of those items. And that's all that I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Say the setback across the street, 125 feet.
At least 120 feet.
Okay, and they're proposing 25 feet.
They just don't have any requirement beyond the minimum of 25.
Gotcha.
And Jenny, how do the development plan conditions compare to the neighboring subdivision?
In relation to setbacks or just in general?
Let's see, what is the exterior of these homes proposed to be?
So looking over on page 3 under
3.
the building materials review, it does mention that the existing homes in the area as well as the DPCs for Pleasant Grove, which I assume that's the neighboring subdivision that you're discussing, they have requirements for exteriors of brick, stone, drive-it, engineered wood siding, cementitious siding, man-made stone, or other modern masonry materials, and vinyl is permitted in soffits and gables only. Plain and split face block is prohibited, and proposed DPC number 2 includes similar exterior and foundation requirements.
Got it, okay, very good. And then the last question is, clearly the minimum is 25-foot setback.
Yes.
And we'll talk to the applicant about this, but what is a reasonable setback here?
I think that would be something that the commission will have to determine with the applicants. The minimum that we noted was 120 feet, so
That's what the existing homes are?
Across the street.
on the west side, on the same side, on H.E. Johnson Road, yes.
All right, very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioners, any other questions for staff? All right, is the applicant here or the representative would like to add anything? So you all are the Browns, is that correct? If you would state your names and address, please.
Linda Burks, 540 Heather Drive, Apartment 6, Dayton, Ohio.
You swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Michael Brown, 5421 Scottsville Road, Apartment 2, Bowling Green, 42104.
You swear to tell the truth, sir?
Yes.
Thank you.
And so, go ahead, I'm sorry. Mr. Brown, would the two of you consider adding to the setbacks? Are you familiar with what we're referring to with setbacks?
Yeah, I just heard what it was, yes.
Okay, all right, very good. And so, I don't know if you have your engineer with you, but these look to be nice, deep lots. And so, would you be in agreement for, what's reasonable here?
75 feet.
Pardon me?
75.
That's what I was thinking was 75. 75 feet would give you remarkable latitude, and you're probably going to actually set it back further than that anyway. Would you be okay with a 75-foot setback?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I think that's all the questions I have.
So if I might, let's attach that to development plan condition number 2, and we'll simply say that for those lots that front on H.E. Johnson Road, the front building setback shall be 75 feet, a minimum of 75 feet. Good point. Is that agreeable with you, Mr. Brown? and Ms.
Yes.
Brown? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you all sit down, just a minute, any other questions?
Ham, should we have in number 1 that the vinyl will only be in the soffits?
I thought I heard that read.
Well, I
but-
think that was in the houses surrounding.
In subdivision,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, so would it be okay to put that in the DPC 1?
If that's agreeable to the Browns, let me kind of explain to you what he's talking about. You have said that the exterior of the homes will be of brick, stone, or engineered wood siding of a cementitious nature. Mr. Volkert has suggested that for clarity's sake, we include that vinyl may be used for soffits, but for nothing else. Is that all right for you all? Again, that's probably what you were going to be doing anyway.
Right.
But we'll add that to General Development Plan Condition number 1, if you all agree to it.
Yes.
We agree.
Great.
All right. So we've got two development plan conditions. Commissioners, any other questions for the applicants? Sit down. Okay. So you all understand that? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for driving from Dayton, Ohio. All right. Is there anyone in the audience tonight has a question or opposition to this request? Okay, hearing none with the new amendments to condition 1 and 2, I would call for a motion, please.
Make the motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and condition upon the general development plan docket number 2024-25ZCO. Based on the testimony and the documents presented in the public hearing, the proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as determined by its compliance with the objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zone map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request this motion include the summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Volkert,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes, sir.
apologies, Commissioner Graham,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. The motion is approved, and it's a planning commission final action after 21 days unless a request is made to the legislative body to hear the item. Our next item tonight is 2024-26Z County, the Coin Group LLC, care of Andy Schultz, the applicant, and Bowling Green Gardens Incorporated, and Kevin and Lynn Kirby, the owners. They filed an application to rezone 3 acres located on the southeast side of Lovers Lane, approximately 458 feet southwest of Traditions Boulevard, from ag to highway business with a general development plan. Rachel?
Thank you, Chair Warren. We had a pre-application meeting back in April for the property you just referenced, located on Lovers Lane. And the applicants are proposing to rezone the property in order to develop a mixture of uses. The first on the left-hand side of your screen there, the first proposed use is an indoor climate-controlled self-storage facility, and then the building you see on the right-hand side of the site plan would be a multi-tenant commercial structure. The current zoning, as you mentioned, is agriculture, and the current use is vacant, and a small sliver of public in the back there, and then the future land use map is mixed-use residential and also open space, that green shaded area there. I think the red boundary covers that up, but there is a little sliver there in the back. In reviewing the proposal, the staff found that the application complies with the majority of what we assessed in the review process, and we did find the proposal to be generally compatible with the surrounding area. We do have a couple of items for your consideration, and the first is on page 2. That's under the site characteristics review. We have noted that the entire property is classified as prime farmland and farmland of statewide importance. And then on page 3, we just wanted to touch on the surrounding land uses. If we go back to the land use map here on this screen, you can see that residential uses are located on the properties to the north, adjacent to the lot where the self-storage business is proposed, and the applicants are not proposing to limit the days or hours of operation for this use. Because of the proximity to the proposed use to the adjacent residential properties, staff inquired as to whether or not the site layout could be flipped, since the hours of operation are planned to be limited for the other commercial parcel, but this was not addressed by the applicants. So we did have those points for your consideration, and on page 1 you'll see that our recommendation is for approval, pending any public hearing, testimony, and discussion. That's all for the staff report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
So, Rachel, as I look at the DPCs, we're looking, what are the exterior materials? Is that in one? Probably construction
So I will mention, I did not mention this, but I should mention that this property is located in the Lovers Lane Overlay District. And so the zoning ordinance spells out specific material requirements.
I see, okay.
And so they're just required to follow those. And if this were to move forward, they would have a second step before they could begin construction and going to the Urban Growth Design Review Board, where they would review all of the architectural plans, materials, light fixtures, that sort of thing.
All right, very good. Thank you.
And so also, Rachel, since it's in the Lovers Lane overlay, the commercial building would be, the multi-tenant commercial building would have restricted uses?
There are specific uses in the overlay that are prohibited. I don't have those handy in the staff report. I I can look those up if you're curious as to what those are, but there are restrictions on use just by nature of the ordinance as well.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, it can't be going back from memory, a restaurant. I mean, it can't be commercial.
They could have a restaurant, yes.
Oh, they could.
Yeah.
But generally, we're deferring to the overlay district requirements in lieu of some of the DPCs in this, correct?
Correct, because there are already requirements of the ordinance. The applicants
Yeah.
didn't have to agree to anything specific because the ordinance is already fairly restrictive as to the types of materials they can
Got it.
use.
All right, very good. Thank you.
All right. Commissioners, any other questions for Ms. Hurd? Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here or the representative? Any comments you would like to make, please?
Chairman Warren, Darrell Pierce for the applicant. I also have with me the applicant, the developer, the property owner, and the engineer, just in case there's any questions.
Darrell, we just need your address, please, sir.
908 State Street, Bowling Green, Kentucky, 42101.
Swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Darrell.
Yes. And I think Rachel did a good job of describing for you what the application is. We'll try to address a couple of the items that she mentioned, and then I'll ask Andy to come up and answer if there's any more detail. There was a request to see if they could flip lots and put the climate control storage closer to the funeral home. They have made the determination that did not work for their overall development. They can speak to that. But there is a residential house that is right next to where the climate control storage would be. And Mr. Kirby has spoken to this lady, her last name's Hunt Willis. It's Tommy Hunt's sister. That was all part of the Hunt family farm at one point. And have told her exactly what they're doing, and if she had any issues, to let them know. She didn't voice any, and to my knowledge, if she's here tonight, we'll hear her, but not aware of any concerns. So they are planning on giving a lot of screen, fence around it, down pointing light, like I said, heavy landscape, et cetera. And as you folks, you may know, this is the first climate control project in Warren County. So it almost looks like an office building, and you would go inside to access your units. So it will be open 24/7 for folks to go in and access their units. The other lot would be used for a retail center of some type. There are no tenants that are lined up currently, no plans to start constructing that immediately, but those would have the normal customary hours you're used to seeing for other similar properties.
And Darrell, I would
Yes.
assume that the reason you don't have hours on the Lot 3 is because it's just a come and go, park, go inside, and there's no business outside of the facility. It's all inside, and it's going to be lit up anyways because of the nature of the business.
That is correct.
Okay.
So I think my only question would be, and this is just me thinking out loud here, currently, we're allowing no hours of operation because of what they plan to build here. What if for some crazy reason this deal comes unwound and we've got a piece of property that we don't have any hours of operation on? Would you or your client be willing to add a DPC that would say, if it is this project, this storage building, no hours of operation? But if you switch to a different project, then we would look at hours of operation.
I'm going to defer to Andy Schultz
All
to
right.
answer that, if that's okay.
Andy?
Andy Schultz, 924 Drakes Ridge Lane, Bowling Green, Kentucky, 42103.
Swear to tell the truth.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Totally fine with that. We've done that on other developments before.
I think we had one where you were
did,
involved
and,
with.
and we can, on our other DPCs, we put it in there, if it's storage specific,
Yep.
there's no hours, but past that, if we were to change it to anything else, then
Oh.
yes, the normal is 6 to 11 p.m.
I like that if you guys are in agreement. And
totally fine
we'll
with
leave that to HAMP to get your agreement on that.
Okay, I'm good with that.
I think it's already in there.
It was, Julie put it in there in the DPCs that it was for that, but if we
Yeah, it
need
says
that.
I overlooked it then.
It says hours of operation will be 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. except for storage unit use.
Okay.
But if we need to
Very
be
good. Well,
more
good job. Then I
specific
just missed
I
it.
think we may be
Okay.
covered already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Mr. Pierce, anything else y'all would like to add? Commissioners, any other questions for the applicants? All right, thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or an opposition to this request? Yes, sir.
I'm not in opposition, but I do have some
Well, but
questions.
just if we could get your name and address, please, sir.
Okay, I'm Dennis Wilkes, located at 733 Bennington Park Drive in Traditions.
All right, you swear to tell the truth?
Swear to tell the truth.
Thank you.
It's hard to hear from back here when they're not really into the mic, so I didn't quite understand the two parcels. The one's climate control, I understand that part, but the second part I was not clear on.
Right now, it's being proposed just as a strip center, and they do not have tenants in it yet. They've not signed any tenants, but it will be a strip center of some sort of business, but we'll have to adhere to all the regulations of the overlay.
Okay.
And the hours of operations there will be 6 to 11.
Yeah, well, I don't have a problem with that. But is it strictly the parcel between Miss Hunt and J.C. Kirby?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's going to be.
And what's the total amount of property that's involved?
3 acres.
It's like 3 acres?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's what I thought.
3 acres.
So it's not going to be that large?
No, sir.
It's just going to be on the front and the road frontage?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the audience tonight that has a question? Thank you for your comments, sir. Okay. Hearing none, commissioners, we call for a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with a condition upon a general development plan, docket number 2024-26Z County, based upon the testimony and document presented in this public hearing. Proposed zoning map amendments consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with objective and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further request this motion include a summary of evidence, testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Gay,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Volker,
Yes, sir.
Chair Warren.
Yes, sir. The motion is approved, and it's a planning commission final action after 21 days unless a request is made to the proper legislative body to hear the item. Mr. Peterson, any other items tonight? No, all right. We stand adjourned. Thank you all for being here tonight.